If corned beef and cabbage were perfume, I'd buy 86 bottles of it.
You want to smell like toots?
Not toots!
That's what cabbage, guys, let's call a spade a spade. Cabbage smells like toots.
No, it doesn't. I'm zeroing in on the pickling spice here, okay? If you've ever smelled pickling spice, you know it smells fantastic.
So you want to smell like a grandma's closet?
No, I don't. I want to give a little dab, 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 dab. Pickling spice, baby.
Ooh.
Okay, for a meal that looks kind of bland, there is a lot of flavor in there. I'm not gonna lie, it does look a tad bit bland.
Yeah, but I zeroed in on the beef, and the beef looks extremely succulent.
That's the beautiful color of corned beef.
Ooh.
So this is a brisket that I picked up at the store that I thought was a decent price for these days. It was only 24 bucks for that thing.
Yeah, I find that to be very surprising.
Yes, like obviously that's not the cheapest thing that you can find, but it is a decent price, I thought.
Now, what's in that white bag?
Okay, so that is the curing salt. Okay, so this is a multi-step dish.
Multi-step in meaning like, will I want to do this or like?
I don't know. I think that if you're gonna do this, this is like a fun, you're gonna embark on a culinary journey type of thing. You're not just gonna like go in on this on a whim.
So like 5% of people are actually gonna make this.
Yeah,
okay.
True. 5% of people just clicked right out of this bit.
No, more like 95.
Okay, so yeah, there are some steps involved, but I think it's worth it. I love a cook sometimes that takes a lot of steps because these are the cooks that make you feel proud.
And these are the cooks that a lot of people will embark on in the winter when there's less to do. You want something cozy, you're inside the house, you're in there anyway, so it gets dark at 4 p.m., so you may as well just get yourself cooking.
Agreed, and I don't know if you're like this, but I jumped the gun here, okay? It is the beginning of October, and I'm already going guns a-blazing into the fall winter dishes. This was a hot day. It's a hot day today. We're in like a weird hot season of like October, but I still had fun with it, even though it doesn't seem seasonal to be making this right now.
This is more of like a November type dish.
Yes.
Not when it's 30 degrees out.
Now, the curing salt here, you're not gonna get that beautiful pink flavor if you don't have the curing salt, okay? So that's it. That's not like your standard salts. You gotta go look for that. You can find it at certain specialty places, or you can find it online. And then this is where you get into the beautiful fragrance of this dish, okay?
So does pickling spice have salt in it too, or not?
No.
Okay.
Pickling spice is basically just a bunch of different spices that are typical to when you're doing pickled goods, like beets. Use it for cucumbers, things like that. And it's just a convenience thing. You could certainly make it on your own, but I just bought it as is.
Nice.
This brisket had some fat on it. You can leave it on if you want, but I wanted to remove it because I didn't want to be eating that after the process.
So it's not mandatory that you remove it though?
It's not mandatory, but since I'm making this myself, I wanted it off.
So why is this such a tiny piece?
Yeah, it's just one section of the brisket. This is obviously not a whole packer brisket. Could you do that with it? Yes, but I wouldn't. I like using this part of the brisket.
Now, did you keep that fat? That's what I'd like to know.
No, I did not, but you could if you wanted to.
Oh, I'm very surprised at you.
I know, I was surprised too, but I was in a rush that day and I was like, it's bad enough that I already have to do this process. I'm not gonna keep it.
I'm surprised Ricky didn't try to get some.
He did. He was with me every step of the way.
He was like, that smells yummy.
Now, this is my little tip on how I like to get right to the brining process, because right now what we're doing here is making a brine. Instead of having to boil the entire brine and then wait for that to cool, I only remove a little bit of the water and slightly, I don't even bring it to a boil. I just heat it up so everything dissolves, add some ice, and then dump it right into the vat that you're gonna be curing the meat in.
I think that's a really great tip, because otherwise you're waiting for hours and hours.
And as it is, you're waiting a long time for this. This was 5 days before you're ready to get going with this.
So, okay, so if you want to serve this for dinner, you have to count back 5 days.
Yes.
Wow.
5 days at the minimum. You can bring it right up to 7. I wouldn't go beyond 7. You're gonna stay in that sweet spot of 5 to 7 days. I did 5 here, so I would suggest 5.
So is this like, if you were to smoke this and slice it up for sandwiches, could you do that?
Yep.
Ooh.
You could do that. Now, I wanted to, obviously this is about corned beef and cabbage, so that is a boiling type of recipe.
CBC, corned beef and cabbage.
Okay, why does everything need to be broken down to letter? This is a Prince Edward Island staple. Basically like an East Coast staple.
That's why I'm surprised you didn't call it that.
I completely forgot that's what it was called.
I think maybe that's what they call it out there.
All right,
beef
well,
and cabbage.
It's CBC. It's CBC. Now, I'm doing it in a different way because I wanted to smoke it to add some smoke flavor. That's not at all traditional here. But you guys know we make everything on the grill, and I wanted to add a little bit, not too much smoke, just a little kiss of smoke. So I smoked it for 30 minutes on the Ninja, and to me, I found that to be the perfect amount of smokiness.
I feel like that should be mandatory in this recipe.
I know.
Because otherwise, where is how much flavor coming from?
Well, the flavor comes from the pickling spice. The pickling spice is loaded with flavor. It has mustard seed in it. It has broken up bay leaves, broken up cinnamon sticks. Like that's what I mean by the perfume factor here. Plus, you add a little bit of the beef and cabbage smell. You're telling me you wouldn't dab.
I don't know if you'd be wanting to walk around smelling like that. I feel like you already did.
Let me know in the comments below if you'd like a gal who smells like corned beef and cabbage, okay?
What a question.
Because I'm here for you. Now, obviously for this CBC, you need some C.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the cabbage. You're also gonna add some carrots and some taters. And you guys know I love the garlic, AKA the jarred garlic, but I would not recommend that here, okay? So I took out the big guns, I put a whole head of garlic in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need that.
I'm very surprised by you, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
For this, you could go the garlic, but I wouldn't do that here. Take the time, because this is such a time-heavy dish, take the time to do the head of garlic.
And I think because there's so few ingredients to a dish like this, you have to make sure they're the highest quality possible.
100%. That was my logic here.
And
now, this was only after 30 minutes. Okay? So there's some nice color on it. And it's only 30 minutes. That's all I wanted on here for flavor.
Okay, so normally it isn't smoked. It just goes right from the brine into a pot.
Yes. And then you just start the boiling process because brisket is a very tough piece of meat. It needs a long, low, and slow cooking experience.
So not technically boiling then, more like simmering.
Yes.
Okay, so low simmer.
But so since I low and slow smoke this, the process has already begun. So then I brought it into the house, started the boiling process. But again, we've been talking beers lately. I used a beer to boil it with and some water, obviously. But I like using these low alcohol beers. Okay, so this one was a 2.6. I've never really seen these before.
Why are they so low alcohol?
I'm not really sure. I don't really know why they're so low, but they pack a flavorful punch.
And that's a big beer to be like such a low alcohol. It's like drinking a big thing of water.
Yeah, I know 2.6 is extremely low, but that's what I had on hand, so that's what I use. Use whatever you have on hand.
Nice color too.
Yes, I thought so too, and that's going to give it a nice color.
Okay, again with the pickling spice.
Yeah,
I see a theme here.
Can't get enough. Look at it.
I do love a good pickling spice myself. I do, but not to smell like it.
We're halfway through the vid, and now you're like, I do love the flavors and the fragrance.
I do. Not for pickles, though. I find it overpowering for, like,
I love
beets
it.
and stuff.
Oh, my goodness, I love it. Well, just don't add so much then.
Yeah.
But it does add a nice, flavorful punch to it.
It is, yeah.
I like putting it in this little bag of cheesecloth, like a little cheesecloth bundle, because you could just let it go free in the pot, but then you're going to have to be picking through it when you're actually eating the dish.
No, I think that's genius, because otherwise you will have to sit there picking it out, and who wants to do that?
You're not going to be picking out little chunks of bay leaf, because the bay leaf, they're not whole, they're crunched up in there.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. So, and I always just like to have some cheesecloth on hand in the pantry for times like this. Okay, so then you just start the boiling process. You put in the garlic, you let that go for a little bit. Then as it continues to cook, every couple hours or so, this is not like something that I can say it takes a certain amount of time, because it depends on the size of the meat and the type of carrots and the type of potatoes and the type of cabbage, how you cut it.
I bet that smelled phenomenal. Not to smell like it.
I like to smell like things I cook sometimes.
Sometimes I don't.
Sometimes I do, and whether I do or I don't, since we're cooking all the time, we constantly smell like food.
Did I not say when I arrived here today, I said, I'm sorry if I smell like food? Because we always do.
Buddy.
But I feel like beef and cabbage are two things that really get in there. And it's hard to get them out.
I didn't want them out. It smelled magnificent.
That looks magnificent.
Okay, so this is finally, we're here. We're at the end of this process. It took a long time. Look at the little bundle of cheesecloth. You just take it out. And then I couldn't wait. This was scalding hot, but I had to cut right into there. And look at that gorgeous pink color.
That looks absolutely spectacular. So how did you know it was done?
It's not, you're not aiming for an internal temperature. You're not aiming for a number of hours. For this particular size, this took around 5 hours.
That is really, really pink.
You're not gonna get that just from regular salt. That's from the curing salt.
So was this very salty?
No. Okay, and it's not that salty.
Oh, what are we doing now?
Okay, I like serving it with some cute little buns on the side.
Ooh.
Because I feel like this dish, even though like you feel like it's like a heavy dish, it's really not. It's just meat and veg.
No, I wouldn't feel like that would be super heavy.
Yeah, you need some carbs there. So that's why I always like to serve some buns, some bread and butter with it. Maybe your focaccia that you just made, that would have been delicious with it.
Ooh.
Look at how tender that is.
That looks so tender. Perfectly fall apart. And what I love about this is that the flavors of the beef went into that broth.
Yes.
So there's no broth left to spoon over this. I thought it was going to be more like a slurry type, like.
I kept it. There is like a lot, like if you want to serve this more of like soup style, you can, but it's not traditional too. You want to remove it and then serve it like that. But once I had everything plated up, I did droop some of the sauce in there.
Droop? That's not the right word. Where she's getting in there with her fingies.
You gotta get in a huge platter like that and get it right in there.
And I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to recreate this for myself because I can't have the beef in it. But I will tell you, one time I was blanching cabbages from the garden to put in the freezer, and there is something about cabbage that is cooked in a liquid that
smells
somehow
fantastic.
And it transforms it into something phenomenal. And I can only imagine how much more phenomenal it would be with the garlic and the beef and the potatoes and the carrots.
And the pickling spice. Get yourself some pickling spice. It's a game changer. It's a life changer.
It's not a perfume, is what it isn't.
Well, not yet.
No.
Watch out,
baby.
Maddie and Kiki pickling spice perfume coming at ya.
Maybe just Maddie.
Yeah, maybe let's take the K right off of there.
Yeah, Kiki smells.
Involved.
Kiki smells good. She doesn't smell like beef and cabbage.
But you just said you smelled like food.
I don't smell like a CBC. No.
She does smell like food.
Yeah.